Okay, so there's a massive U.S. military force steaming towards the Persian Gulf right now. Tensions are absolutely at a boiling point, and it looks like this entire operation is focused on one tiny but incredibly important piece of Iranian land.
And that brings us to the big question, right? Is the U.S. actually gearing up for the largest ground operation against Iran we've seen in decades? I mean, the pieces being moved onto the chessboard. We're talking thousands of Marines, advanced jets, amphibious warships. It all points to something huge. But what's the end game? Is this just a show of force, or is it the prelude to a real invasion?
And it all comes down to this one spot, Kharg Island. It's just a little strip of land, maybe 5 miles long, but its strategic value to Iran, well, it's almost impossible to overstate.
So why Kharg Island? What's the big deal? Now, it used to have military stuff on it, but recent U.S. strikes reportedly just obliterated that infrastructure. No, the real prize here, and what this whole operation is likely about, is the absolute bedrock of Iran's entire economy. Just look at this number, 95%. That's how critical this place is. Up to 95% of all of Iran's crude oil exports get processed and shipped out from the terminals on Kharg. It's not just an economic hub for their oil, it is the economic hub. And you can bet the stakes are huge. Based on recent figures, if Iran loses control of this island, you're talking about a nearly $44 billion hole in its economy. For a government that's already under a ton of pressure, this one single point of failure could be absolutely catastrophic. Okay, but what's the American angle here? According to Joseph Vodal, he's a former commander of U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, one possibility is all about messaging. See, if the U.S. seizes the infrastructure instead of just blowing it up, it could send a signal to global markets that America is trying to secure a vital energy source, not destroy it. It's a really complex military and diplomatic dance.
Now, to apply this kind of pressure, the U.S. isn't just making threats. It's moving a very significant and very specific set of military hardware into place. And honestly, the sheer scale of this buildup is what has so many analysts worried.
So what are we looking at? Well, you got 2 separate Marine Expeditionary Units, or MEUs, which are being carried by an entire amphibious ready group. They've got a whole lot of air power to back them up, Triton drones for spying, which have apparently already been spotted over the island's oil terminal. You've got Apache helicopters and A-10 Warthogs, both legendary for providing close air support for troops on the ground, and of course the advanced F-35 fighter jet. This isn't just a random assortment of ships. It's a complete, powerful, invasion-ready package.
So, it's really important to get what an MEU actually is. Think of it like a floating, self-sufficient army in a box. It's got everything. Its own infantry, its own helicopters and jets, its own artillery, its own armored vehicles. The whole thing is designed specifically for missions just like this one, seizing an island from the sea. And the U.S. is sending 2 of them. You add those 2 MEUs together, and you're looking at more than 4,000 U.S. Marines, plus all their support personnel, all zeroing in on this one tiny spot in the Persian Gulf. That is a massive amount of amphibious assault power focused on one target.
Okay, so you've got this massive force sitting there. What can you actually do with it? Well, the Pentagon has reportedly drawn up some detailed plans, and they seem to boil down to 3 main strategies. And let me tell you, each one comes with some pretty big risks.
All right, let's look at the playbook. Option 1, a naval blockade. The goal is to choke off Iran's oil exports without putting boots on the ground. But the risk? U.S. warships become sitting ducks for Iranian missiles. Option 2, a ground invasion. You seize the island, cut off the oil money, and create the ultimate bargaining chip. The problem is the Marines would be just 20 miles off the Iranian coast, easily within range of their missiles. And finally, option 3, a bombing campaign. This is the most destructive choice, but it could tick off allies and major oil customers like China, and it might push Iran to retaliate against its neighbors in the Gulf.
And you better believe there's a lot of political pressure back home to do something decisive. Senator Lindsey Graham has come out and said it publicly, urging the president to just take the island and, in his words, let this regime die on a vine by cutting off its cash. This really highlights the kind of hawkish thinking that's a major part of this whole conversation.
But here's where it gets really weird. As all this military hardware gets closer and closer, the strategy is actually getting foggier, not clearer. The signals coming out of the White House have been, well, they're all over the map, creating a ton of uncertainty about what the real plan is.
I mean, look at this. The official messaging has been completely chaotic.
In just one day, the White House went from a super aggressive, no ceasefire position to suggesting they wanted to wind down the entire operation. An invasion is pretty much the exact opposite of winding down, so what is going on?
If you just look at the timeline from the last few days, you can see the confusion in real time. First, there are denials about any troop movements. Then, a hard line on no ceasefire. The very next day, there are hints about de-escalation. And then, claims of secret talks that Iran immediately shoots down as fake news. It's classic misdirection, but who knows if it's strategic genius or just total indecision. So here's the bottom line. The hardware is real, the Marines are on the move, and Iran's economic lifeline is right there in the crosshairs. But with such unpredictable signals coming from the top, the ultimate question is still hanging in the air. Is this whole thing an elaborate bluff to get a better deal, or is the US really about to make a move that could change the balance of power in the Middle East for good? The whole world is watching to find out.